Hello ladies and gents. In this video we're going to learn how to create simple tab joints for use with the laser cutter. We're going to work on creating the example you see before you, which is a piece with a single tab and another piece with dual tabs. So start by going to File, New, and we're going to create a canvas. Set the measurements to millimeters if it's not already set, and then in the width and height box create the canvas. So I'm going to have a 400mm by 400mm canvas, and then you need to make sure that the color mode is set to RGB, not CMYK. So set to RGB because that's what works with our laser cutter. Then hit create. With the canvas created, go to the rectangle tool and draw just any size rectangle on the screen or square. And then we're going to resize that in the properties panel on the right. We're going to make that 100mm by 100mm square. There we go. And then we can go to edit, copy, edit, paste, and create a copy of that because we're going to use this later on. And we're going to put it right next to the square that we've just created. There we go. Now you can zoom in on this by holding Command and pressing the plus key on your keyboard to zoom in, or Command and minus if you need to zoom out, and you can scroll along with the tabs at the side of the window to get a better view of what you're doing. Now I need to create the tab in the center of the first square. So to do that, I need to click on the rectangle tool again, and I'm going to draw just any size rectangle, and in the properties panel, in the width, I'm going to set the thickness of the material. So for me, my plywood is 2.6mm thick. So in the width box, I'll use 2.6mm. And for the height, that needs to be the same as the square that you just created, so 100mm. And then press enter, and we've got our tab, well, the start of a tab. Now, you're going to drag that using the selection tool into the center of your square, and you can use the intersect lines. It'll tell you when you've got it center, and it'll kind of snap into place. So when you've done that, you can let go of the trackpad or mouse button, and then go to Object, Path, Split into Grid. Now I'm going to create three tabs here. So where it says rows, number, I'm going to set that to 3, and I want them to be 25mm. So I'll put 25 there. The gutter, you'll just leave that as it is, and the total, you leave that as it is. Leave columns and the total there as they are. So all we're changing is the number and the height. When you've done that, click OK, and you can see now we've got these 3 holes in the square. All I need to do now is click on the background, so that the grey background of the screen, and then with the selection tool still selected, click on the holes that I don't want. So I don't want the top one, so click on that and press delete, and the bottom one, I don't want that, press delete there. Now I'm going to use the selection tool to drag a box around, or just click on, just click on the rectangle in the middle, and then go to edit, copy, edit, paste. And what you can do is, using the selection tool, drag that, and you can see the intersect lines. It shows that it's perfectly level with the other one. Drag it onto, and it'll snap onto the square that we've got to the right. So if I just click on the background to deselect everything there, you can see I've got my square with the hole in it and another square with the single tab. Now I want to make this one solid piece. So with the selection tool, drag a box around this second square, go to the Shapes Builder tool, and then hover over the second square, click, hold, and drag the cursor into that tab so it joins them together, and then click on the selection tool and deselect, and there we go. We've got our tab joint. Very simple. So if I want to make this dual tab one, how do I do that? Almost exactly the same way. All I'm going to do is scroll down the page a little bit, select that first square, copy, and then paste. So pop that into place there. And then I'll do exactly the same thing. I'm going to make another rectangle, and I'll make that 2.6 in width and 100 millimeters in height. Use the selection tool to drag that into the center of the square, and then go to Object, Path, Split into Grid. Now this time I'm going to change the number of rows to 5, and I'm just going to let it select the size automatically. So 100 millimeters divided by 5 is 20 millimeters. So that's all it's done there. So 5 rows with a height of 20 millimeters. It made that calculation for me, and it will resize that height every time I change the number. So just change that to 5. Click on OK, and now we've got 5 tabs there, which we don't want. So what I'm going to do is delete the bottom one by clicking it, press delete. The top one, that can go, press delete, and the center one can go. Click on that, press delete. Now click on the ones that are left behind, so we'll start with the top one first. And in the properties panel, change its height from 20 to 30 millimeters. And then do the same thing for the second one. So change the height from 20 to 30 millimeters. And you can see there, it's just resized them. They're perfectly laid out, still in the center. And all I want to do now is drag a box around that, hit copy, paste, and then put that into the canvas. And now I'm going to just click on the page to deselect everything, and then holding the shift key, click on the first and the second tabs and move them using the selection tool. So I'm just clicking and holding my mouse button down now and snap them onto the side. So if you like move them into the wrong place, you can use these intersect lines. There we go. So that's exactly level, and just snap it onto that fourth square. Now drag a box around all of that fourth piece. Go to the Shape Builder tool, hover over the square, click, drag the cursor over the tab 1. There we go, that's the first one, and click and hold and do it for the second one. There we go. Now simply drag a box around everything. Change the stroke color to RGB red, the green channel to 0, the blue channel to 0, and turn your fill color off. Make sure the stroke is set to 1 point, and then if I just click on the background there to deselect everything, we have our tab joints ready to go. So if I could just repeat that process, move these two to the other side, and then have tabs on the opposite side of the square. But that's it. So very straightforward, very easy. Dual tabs, single tabs, and you can do this for as many tabs as you need on your product piece.